some numbers here, looking at the US and Canada, for example. Their oil and gas production, ladies and gentlemen, has grown since the year 2000 by almost 90% to more than 40 million barrels of oil equivalent per day, 40 million. Today, the US is the largest oil and gas producer. It is the largest LNG exporter. And in 2022 and 2023 combined, the US has led the world in approvals for oil and gas projects in terms of barrels of oil equivalent of reserves. Yet some countries are being told to keep its natural gas in the ground, particularly in Africa today. So, shouldn't these countries lead by example? Or, Your Highness, American freedom gas is halal and African gas is haram?
Well, for that question to be answered, you should go to the Mufti and he will. Yeah, all of this nuance goes into the kind of, if I could call it, the intellectual dichotomy that people live with in a day-to-day basis. It's the agony, it is all emanating from a condescending culture. I keep mentioning it. Yesterday I mentioned it in another event, a year or two, I think I mentioned it. It's this so-called, with all the respect to our friends from Egypt, it is this pharaonic concept, which was mentioned in the Quran. I make you see what I see, and I lead you to the right path. And this kind of condescending approach, mimicking what I have mentioned yesterday, it could be emanating from some sort of a religion, a dogma, which differentiate people between being a believer, as I said, I think 2 days ago, or a non-believer. And if you are a believer, you will go to heaven. And if you are a non-believer, you will go to hell, and you will be burned by unabated fossil fuel. This is the kind of attitude. However, it's been, as you have rightly said, it's been resented, it's resentful, it's been challenged, it's been, and again, it's been demeaning for people to be constantly pressured and cornered into having to either to accept or you will be challenged in some way or another.
But Your Royal Highness, can we call a spade a spade? Could it be just plain racism? Someone has to say
No, I'm not getting there.
Because it's really, some people, you've lived in poverty, you can continue to live in poverty for a few extra decades.
But
is that it?
Then you're drafting me to borrow from Martin Luther King's speeches, and I've got a dream and what have you. So we're gonna get there too. No, I think it's a sensation that people are still believing that the old days have not gone and passed. And the fact that you have African countries, Southeast Asian countries, Middle Eastern countries, all of the above, Latin American countries, are not truly conscious of what is good for them and what is important for them. And their negotiating skills are limited, and their technical competence is minute. And because of that, one can exert pressure here and there, and move people to what I would call it, pushing people to the herd mental approach. I lead and people follow, and I put what I keep calling it the lollipops, and these lollipops are sufficient to keep. Some of it has happened, unfortunately, and people get accustomed to that. And one of these things, which I feel extremely sorry for, is the very issue that people fought for 30 years, 32 years, 31 years, ever since Rio de Janeiro summit. The concept of loss and damage was recognized. And most